It's January 22nd, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a mind behind years of terror finally silenced in court, a crown met with gunfire, and an empire humbled on a distant battlefield. Let's begin. On January 22nd, 1998, in a quiet federal courtroom in Sacramento, a man who had haunted America for nearly 2 decades finally spoke the words that brought justice to his campaign of terror. Ted Kaczynski pleaded guilty to every charge laid before him. For 17 years, his homemade bombs had arrived without warning, killing 3 people and injuring 23 others. Each package carried silence, paranoia, and the sense that no one was truly safe. Now the architect of fear sat calmly, refusing an insanity defense, determined that his ideas, not just his mind, be judged. A plea spared him the death penalty. Instead, he accepted a life in prison without parole, 4 life sentences, plus 33 years spent largely in total isolation. The cabin he lived in Montana was empty. The bombs were gone, but the echo of his campaign lingered long after the courtroom doors closed, a reminder of how quietly terror can hide, and how long it can last. The man was imprisoned, but the fear he created didn't disappear. It simply learned to live in memory, reminding us how dangers can arrive disguised as something so ordinary. On January 22nd, 1905, the frozen streets of St. Petersburg filled with footsteps, prayers, and hope. Thousands of workers, their wives, and even their children marched quietly through the snow. They carried religious icons and portraits of their Tsar, believing he was their protector, their little father. Led by a priest named Georgy Kapon, they were not there to riot, they were there to beg. At the heart of the city stood the Winter Palace, but Tsar Nicholas II was not waiting. Instead, Imperial guards and the Cossack troops blocked the streets. Without warning, rifles were raised, gunshots cracked through the winter air. At Novara Gate, near the palace, crowds scattered in terror as soldiers fired into unarmed civilians. This day would then become known as Bloody Sunday. By nightfall, hundreds lay dead, while hundreds were wounded. Blood stained the snow where the prayers had once been spoken. Survivors later said something invisible had died that day: belief. Across Russia, strikes erupted, mutinies followed, and what began as a peaceful march ignited the 1905 revolution, a violent rehearsal for something far worse to come. Though the regime survived for now, the illusion of loyalty was shattered forever. 12 years later, the empire would fall, but on this day, the fate was sealed in silence and gunfire. On January 22nd, 1879, beneath the blazing sun of South Africa, the British Empire learned a fiercely terrifying lesson they would never forget. At a rocky hill called the Battle of Isandlwana, nearly 1,800 British and colonial troops made camp, confident, exposed, and unfortified. They believed their rifles, discipline, and empire made them untouchable, but they were wrong. From the surrounding hills emerged an army of nearly 20,000 warriors of the Zulu kingdom. Moving with silent precision, they formed the deadly Horns of the Buffalo, encircling the camp before the soldiers fully understood what was happening. Gunfire cracked the air, ammunition ran low, and the lines collapsed. By nightfall, more than 1,300 British, colonial, and native troops lay dead, cut down by the spears and sheer force of numbers. Survivors later spoke of the sound, the thunder of feet, and the sudden realization that modern weapons did not guarantee survival. Though the Zulu victory was short-lived, they shattered the myth of Imperial invincibility, proof that courage, strategy, and timing could bring the mightiest empire to their knees. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.